Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Apologies for the slight delay. It's just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 19th of August 2025. I'd like to welcome you all to the City of Canning's Ordinary Council meeting for the month of August. I declare the meeting open and acknowledge the Wadjuk people, the traditional custodians of the land, and we pay our respects, of course, to elders both past and present. Can I ask all present please to turn off their mobile phones for the duration of the meeting. The meeting is being live streamed via the City's YouTube channel. And council meetings are public meetings, and any information you shall provide will be recorded and may become publicly accessible. And the council chamber is not a parliament, and parliamentary privilege does not apply. Elected members and staff risk being held personally liable if their comments are found to be defamatory or to breach any duty of confidentiality. Statements made during council meetings are solely those of the person making them. Nothing expressed at a council meeting can be attributed to the city unless it is accompanied by a resolution of council. Elected members and employees must disclose any financial proximity or partiality interest that they may have in an item on the agenda and declare the interest at the commencement of the meeting or at the very latest when the item is about to be discussed. Financial proximity and impartiality interests are to be disclosed in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act of 1995. Elected members disclosing a financial or proximity interest must not participate in that part of the briefing relating to their interest and must leave the meeting for the duration of that item. The confirmed minutes of a council meeting are the official record of that council meeting. Verbatim minutes are not required. Nevertheless, the City does publish a full recording of the meeting. And recordings of council meetings must not be copied, republished or reproduced without the City's express permission. At item 2, apologies. Do have an apology this evening from Councillor Michelle Hurn, who was not able to be with us this evening. Approved leave of absence at item 2.2. There are none. At item 3, CEO, can I ask, have there been any disclosures this evening?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have received some disclosures for tonight's meeting. In relation to item 3.1, declarations of financial interest, I've received one from myself, the CEO, Michael Littleton, in relation to item OC 007 of 25. The item is in relation to the CEO Performance and Salary Review Committee terms of reference. The nature of my association is I am the CEO. This committee reviews the performance of the CEO, makes recommendations on future KPIs and salary progression. I'd also like to declare that I've had no involvement in the preparation of the item for tonight's meeting. In relation to items 3.2, declarations of impartiality, I've received 3. The first from Deputy Mayor Mark Bain in relation to item IE 016 of 25. It is in relation to the request for tender RFT 22 of 25, Nicholson Road and Metcalfe Road intersection upgrade. The nature of Deputy Mayor Bain's association is he lives around the corner from the proposed intersection upgrade. The second declaration of impartiality is from Councillor Shen Sekon in relation to C0006 of 25. The item is in relation. How am I going, guys? Willetton Reserve Sports Lighting Upgrade, Club Night Lights Program, Forward Planning Application. The nature of Councillor Secon's association is she has a child that plays for Canning Soccer Club, Canning City Soccer Club, and the under-12s having a roaring season, as I understand it. The last declaration of impartiality interest was received from Councillor Steve Parkinson, again in relation to item C0006 of 25. The nature of Councillor Parkinson's association in the Willetton Reserve Sports Lighting Upgrade project is he is an active coach and referee at Canning City Soccer Club.
I've dropped out myself. Thank you, CEO. Announcements by the presiding member at item 4 without discussion. I will just welcome a new member to our executive team. Just before you, on my far left to your far right, is Mr. Nelson Mauricio, the Director of Corporate and Commercial. Nelson, we very much welcome you to the City of Canning, and hope your time here with us is long and wonderful. So thank you very much for for being here with us this evening, and welcome to your first ordinary council meeting. At item 5, reports of delegates without discussion. Does any member wish to submit a delegates report this evening? None, thank you. We'll keep moving then. Question time for the public at item 6.1. Responses to previous questions taken on notice. There are none at item 6.1. At item 6.2, we have no questions from the public. Thank you very much. I don't propose to open or close. We shall move to item 7, which is the confirmation of minutes. And this is for the ordinary council meeting held back on the 29th of July 2025. The officer's recommendation is before you, councillors, and also on screen, and appears on page 6 of tonight's agenda. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Councillor Page, was that you? Councillor Page, thank you. Councillor Secon is the seconder. We'll put the item to the vote. Thank you.
The motion for the confirmation of the ordinary council meeting minutes of the 29th of July has been carried unanimously with all 9 in favour.
Sorry, Councillor Page, I thought I saw you raise an eyebrow. That's all it takes up here. We're very diligent. Item 8, receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations. There are none, no petitions, no presentations, no deputations this evening. Applications for leave of absence, none have been received. Item 10, questions by members, none have been received. Items brought forward for the convenience of those in the public gallery. There are none at item 11. At item 12, reports of committee meetings. Similarly, there are none. The first of the reports is from the Office of the CEO, Mr. Michael Willetton. It's item 13.1 OC 007 of 25. The title of the report being the adjourned item, CEO Performance and Salary Review Committee Terms of Reference. The CEO has declared a financial interest in this item. Is that right?
Yes.
And you'll be leaving the room?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, there's no decision-making. I have no decision-making process. The only matter before us is the terms of reference. So it wasn't my intention to leave the chamber. Of course, I'm happy to if you'd like me to. But
I'm not really sure it's necessary. However, if you've actually declared a financial interest, I'm not certain that there's actually a discretion. Can I ask governments?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, correct. The CEO does not need to leave the room. He is not a decision maker on this item. An elected member who declares a financial interest is required to leave the room.
Thanks, Governance. I'll take the advice, CEO. Happy to have you in the room, as stated on the public record. And by me now, you're not a decision maker in the item. There is nothing here. It's a public meeting. The document is publicly available. I don't see any reason for you to leave on this occasion. Councillors, just in relation to the matter before you, this is a matter that was adjourned from a previous meeting. The recommendation is on page 8 of tonight's agenda. The recommendation is also on screen. The item was subject to a procedural motion back at the ordinary council meeting held on the 17th of June 2025 to be represented to the August council meeting, and here it is. Councillors had an opportunity to provide feedback further to that, either online through email or at a SIB, which is a strategic issues briefing, which is held on the evening of the 5th of August 2025. So the matter has already been put and seconded. Councillors have already had an opportunity to speak on the item. Councillors, considering the matter has been before us some time ago, some months since we've had an opportunity to talk to it, I will move from the chair suspension of standing orders in relation to clause 7.1, and that's in relation to item clause 14.1, which is that elected members are not generally permitted to speak twice. If I have a I'm not sure if anyone wishes to speak twice, but I'd like to propose that we suspend standing orders. So if any member wishes to speak twice on the item, they certainly can. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Deputy Mayor has seconded the item. Councillors, it simply means that because the item has not been discussed at Council for some months, and there have been some changes made as SIB was held, as I said, on the 5th of August, I don't intend to speak again, but I'm very happy for others to do so if they would like to do so. So I'm going to put the matter to the vote. The standing orders be suspended in relation to clause 7.11 of the City of Canning standing orders in relation to members speaking twice. And I will take a vote on that. Thank you, Governance. Thank you, councillors. The matter is now open for discussion. If anyone would like to speak to the item, we've already had the mover and the second to speak to the item, and others, I believe, have spoken. I think from memory I spoke on it myself. I did want to put an amendment, if you don't mind, whilst we are here. The amendment would be a new part two. So currently what you have before us is the recommendation is that Council accepts the marked up changes and adopts a revised CEO performance and salary review committee terms of reference as set out in attachment 1. I was guided here by the CEO and also government's a suggestion has been made. I support it fully that part 2 would be, and I'll ask governance to put it on the screen now. Part 2 would simply read that Council rescinds policy AD04, which is the CEO performance and salary review committee as per attachment 2. So that was the basis on which the legislative changes which have been made in relation to this item and the terms of reference before you and the changes to the legislation supersede our current policy AD04. So AD04 is proposed to be retired. Can I have a seconder, please, for that amendment? It'd be Councillor Kunza. Thank you very much. I don't intend to speak to the amendment. Councillor Kunza, have you got any further?
No, only other to say that I thank governance for their support over the last few months in terms of this process. I emailed Mustafa earlier today to say the same thing, and he couldn't be here, but they've been very helpful, so thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone want to speak either for or against the amendment? Just the amendment, which is item 2. If not, I'll put the amendment to the vote.
The amendment to OC 00725 has been carried unanimously with all 9 in favour. Thank you.
Thank you. The item has been carried. The amendment, now becomes the substantive motion, which now contains items 1 or 2. As mentioned, I don't propose to speak any further on the item. Does any other member wish to speak either for or against the item proper? None. That being the case, I don't see any reason to close. We will put the item to the vote.
Waiting on one more vote, please.
Unfortunately, that was me, Governance.
Substantive motion is amended. OC 00725 has been carried unanimously with all 9 in favour.
Thank you. The next item I have on the agenda is, let me see. I've got OC 011 of 25, title of the report being proposed amendments to the Local Government Property and Public Places Local Law 2021. Councillors, the officer's recommendation is on screen. It also appears on page 22 of tonight's agenda. I just need to read a preamble that's required under the law because it relates to a local law, and that is that the purpose of the proposed City of Canning Local Government Property and Public Places Amendment Local Law 2025 is to make amendments to the City of Canning Local Government Property and Public Places Local Law 2021. And the effect of the proposed City of Canning Local Government Property and Public Places Amendment Local Law 2025 is to amend the City of Canning Local Government Property and Public Places Local Law 2021 to amend the modified penalty for the offence of damaging, destroying or removing a tree or street tree which is on a public place. As I said, the recommendation is on page 22. Can I have a mover, please, for that item? That would be Councillor Page, and a seconder, which would be Councillor Secon. Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. I'm supporting the officer's recommendation. This has come about because there's been some changes in the Local Government Amendment Act, and also in May 2024, Council revised our policy ET 525, management of trees in streets, thoroughfares and public open space, which strengthened the protections and retention of the city's tree assets and included a tree retention hierarchy, so that if an applicant wanted to remove a street tree, they would have to go through this hierarchy, investigate, educate, innovate, remediate, manage and remove. And that includes costs associated with the removal and the cost of replacing 2 trees at an alternative site at the applicant's expense. So as you can see, this process could take many months, cost an applicant a few $1,000s. However, if they come along and decide to destroy the tree that they decide doesn't want to be there, and we have the evidence, our fine is currently $250. I don't believe that that fine is enough of a deterrent or encourages residents to engage in our tree retention process. And so that's why also I think $1,000 actually is still a little bit low, but with the changes to the Local Government Amendment Act in 2024, it does allow the city to seek a conviction of up to $10,000 for this sort of offence. So the city amendment extends protection also to not just street trees, because in reviewing this we found that it was only applying to our street trees and not our trees in our public open spaces, our parks, and our other properties. So I think it's fair. We've strengthened our policies. There's been a change that we update these local laws, especially as we're trying to reach our Urban Forest Strategy 2019 goals to increase the city's urban canopy coverage by 22.3% to 9.3% by 2039. So that's all just in relation to that, to improve our tree canopy coverage and to make sure that the infringement is more reflective of the cost of replacing trees that have been damaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Councillor Secon.
I support the officer's recommendation. I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to the item before we put it to the vote? Yes, Councillor Singh.
Just a question to the officer, Mr. Mayor, through you. Listening to Councillor Page, I'm just trying to figure it out. So the penalty we are increasing from $250 to $1,000 if somebody willfully damages the tree, and we have widened the area, what that damage means, and we can still take them to magistrate court and they can be liable to pay up to $10,000. My question is, can we go from $1,000 to $10,000 straight? Because a tree can't really be replaced for $1,000, especially if it's a mature tree. Just would like to understand, because this is important. Somebody doesn't like a tree on their verge, they can cut it down and they can just pay the $1,000 and walk away.
Absolutely.
That's a loop.
Thank you. CEO? Oh, Mr. Bowe? We might. Do you want to take that on?
I think I'll have to take that on notice, Mr. Mayor. I wouldn't like to speak on behalf of the Joint Standing Committee for Delegated Legislation as to whether they would approve that or not. But we could look into it.
The answer is we're not sure whether or not we're able to, and often with the law, you have penalties that the city can apply. But of course, when it goes to a magistrate's court, the magistrate has far greater discretion to actually apply far greater penalties. And probably that's why we can deal with it to a certain level. And that if it goes to court, it's open to the magistrate to actually provide a far heavier sanction. But I'm not sure we're able to answer that question. It would have been a great question during the week, but I'm not sure we're able to answer it. CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I think we'll provide you some commentary back, Councillor Singh. Obviously, the officer's recommendation is to increase from 250 to 1,000. We think that that's certainly a lot more penal than it currently is. And as we know, we're working very hard to incentivise tree retention.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
I'll just make a comment and I'll leave it with the CEO and his team to pursue it. It's just that in suburbs, with the property prices have gone into millions, for someone who doesn't like the tree on their verge, basically they can cut down the tree, pay a $1,000 fine, and then it's up to the city to pursue them to the court rather than that person. And of course, we spend money to take them to the court and all that stuff. So just thinking from that point of view, how to make sure people living in $1 million houses, $1,000 cutting down a tree, it's nothing. So we need to match that. Thank you.
I don't disagree with that. I'd probably make the point that the primary reason for the change, one of the main drivers of it, is now we are recognising the offence now extends to all trees in public places. Councillors here would know that we've had extensive tree damage, major vandalism events at Nerdy Park in Riverton, Shelley Foreshore, Adenia Park. I think we had 30 or 40 trees destroyed in Canning Vale, nut trees that we planted as part of a fast food for cockatoos program some years ago, City of Perth, other councils. So it's taking care of a problem that we haven't been able to address previously. CEO? But take your point. Thank you. Councillor Second, sorry, you agreed with the councillors with the city's recommendation. Anyone else wish to speak before I put it to the vote? Thank you, councillors. Let's put the item to the vote.
Motion OC 011-25 has been carried unanimously with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you, Governors. We move to item 13.2, a historic moment. The first report from Mr. Nelson Mauricio, the Director of Corporate and Commercial. It's the budget review as at the 31st of July 2025 to adopt projects carried forward from 2024 to 25. It's report CC 016 of 25. An absolute majority of councillors are required for this item, and the recommendation is on page 29 and also, of course, on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Deputy Mayor, thank you. A seconder. Councillor Kunza, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kunza.
I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against the item or ask a question before we put it to the vote? Thank you, councillors. Let's put this item to the vote.
Motion CC-016-25 has been carried by absolute majority with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you. The next item is item 13.1 from the Directorate of Mr. Graham Bride, the Director of Planning and Development. The title of the report is PD 006 of 25, Initiation of Scheme Amendment number 19 to Local Planning Scheme number 42, amending Schedule B, additional uses to include additional use A34 for motor vehicle, boat or caravan sales, 145 Welshpool Road in Welshpool. The recommendation is on page 43 of the agenda and is on screen now. I'm happy to move this item from the chair and call for a seconder, which would be Councillor Page. Thank you, Councillor Page, as the seconder. Councillors, I speak in favour of the officer's recommendation, which is before you, and I want to do that with good reason. The use at the moment, we all have read the report. We understand the reason why we're considering the matter. But the item is actually the property is subject to an non-permitted use, and the city's plan, we have a vision as we do for our entire city, and the vision for that area of the city is that we start to phase out a use that may have historically occurred in that area, but that we support the city's vision and that which appears to be the State Planning Commission, and that we slowly phase out that current use. There are areas in the city of Canning, obviously along Albany Highway, and from Albany Highway, really from Kelmscott all the way through to the city, where this use is permitted. I don't think we should be supporting an attempt to revisit use that has been prohibited with good reason, I believe, especially given the conversation and the matter of the report, and we should support the local planning scheme as it is and move towards slowly phasing out and transitioning away from that use. Just recently we've had McLaren has actually built a very large premises next to the Mercedes premises on Albany Highway in Bentley. I don't think there's any benefit in returning to a use that was prohibited some years ago here. So the agreed strategy guides development and provides a real framework for the city's vision and the council's vision for its industrial precincts and the direction of the state of WA Planning Commission. So I think in keeping with paragraph 17, and I'll just refer to paragraph 17 and direct you to that on page 46, there is plenty of scope not to agree to amending the current scheme and to retain it as it is. The period of time where is longer than the 6 months in which period for the approved use it has lapsed, and that provides, and it has lapsed by a considerable period, and that provides the city with an opportunity to move back to phasing out uses which were previously discretionary. It wasn't a permitted use, it was actually a discretionary use that could only be permitted by a resolution of this council, and then later on was actually totally prohibited. So I don't think this is the time for council to waver in its decision making and move back to voting against the officer's recommendation and opening up precedent along a high volume stretch of land, a high volume street, and opening that up to a precedent that will lead us down the road, I think, of uncertainty. Thank you. That's all I wish to say on the matter. Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. On the 26th of May 2020, the Council endorsed a scheme amendment to TPS 40 to protect an industrial area, and the aim of this change is to industrial zoning was to concentrate industrial activities in these specific areas because that offers real benefits. And these benefits of having these dedicated industrial areas, we could increase economic development through attracting investment and jobs creation, enhancing business operations, improving land use planning and efficiency, whilst managing the regulatory and environmental considerations. And this also aligned the City of Canning with the state government's strategy position of projecting industrial areas from commercial encroachment. And there was a clause in that 2020 amendment that non-conforming uses allowed continued use for those existing businesses that were not used for general industry. However, when that non-conforming use of the land was discontinued for a period of 6 months, that non-conforming use would not be continued. That is to say, when a non-conforming business moves on, moves to another area or shuts down, that a general industry business would transition in, and the aim was a slow phase out of those commercial uses for industrial uses over time. The applicant's justification that the site was historically been used as motor vehicle dealership for several decades and therefore should remain motor vehicle sales use indefinitely into the future is the exact opposite of the intent of the city's local planning strategy. There are multiple more appropriate places for the applicant's business, such as centre, district centre and service commercial zonings. Motor vehicle sales has many options, whereas general industry businesses are limited to one zone, which makes Welshpool and Canning Vale highly sought after. So there is an opportunity cost where an industrial business is unable to expand or even start due to unavailability of appropriately zoned land. And as a council, we understand that the applicant made a mistake, a genuine mistake. There was no deliberate intent to violate land use for several years. And also when they realised the mistake, the applicant self-reported to the city. And as such, the city has not undertaken any sort of infringement or prosecution and allowed the application to continue operations while the application for a scheme amendment process. And the city has committed to a fair and reasonable time frame to allow the applicant's business to transition. However, I do believe that the council should not proceed to amend the local planning scheme number 42 to accommodate the applicant's mistake. It doesn't align with the city's local planning strategy or the state government's position on industrial zone protection. When we endorse planning policies, we are outlining the future uses so the community understands our planning objectives. Businesses are impacted by these policies and then they use them to help make decisions about their expansions, other development investments. In business, there are many unknowns about the future. However, local government planning strategy shouldn't be one of them. It is far more beneficial for our community, including our businesses, that we are consistent, firm and fair in our application of our laws and policies. They should be able to rely on us as a city and a council to deliver and enforce the policies as endorsed and advertised. And therefore, I encourage my fellow councillors to support the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Does anyone wish to speak to the item or ask a question? Yes, Councillor Kunza.
Thank you, Mayor Hall, and with respect, I won't support the officer's recommendation and would foreshadow the alternative recommendation as per paragraph 49 of the report. I appreciate the views put forward by staff and the previous speakers with respect to why the scheme amendment should be refused. However, I am of the view that we should initiate the process to allow public consultation and WAPC consideration. I'm swayed to do this because it's not as though we are considering a request to allow an additional use which has never previously occurred on this site. It is not as though this site has operated as a manufacturing site for many years and is now proposing to change to a car dealership. The facts are that since this site was first operated by Matt Honda dealership in the 1960s, it has operated in some way as a motor vehicle, boat or caravan use. It is therefore not a new land use proposed for the site, as it is the only predominant land use which has operated for many decades at this site. There is a significant number of similar land uses in this precinct, especially along Welshpool Road, which is a common along major thoroughfares. The site was bought by the current landowner before the city adopted Local Planning Scheme 42. The purchaser bought it under the knowledge that vehicle sales were permitted under the discretionary AA use. Whilst the city is of the view that the permitted use rights lapsed after the proponent purchased it, as it was used for overflow parking or car storage, this use was evidently a vehicle dealership related activity used in conjunction with the vehicle dealership activities on the owner's adjacent properties. It is not as though the site has been used for a completely different use and now the owners are seeking to revert back to the motor vehicle, boat or caravan sales several years later. If you look at the site in isolation, you may argue that it was car storage, but I believe if you look holistically, the site was used in conjunction with the car vehicle sales on sites nearby, the parking of cars for sales directly related to the John Hughes dealership and the permitted use. With respect to precedent, I agree that the presentation last week that every scheme amendment needs to be decided on its merits and will have their own variables such as location, historical use and proposed use. I don't believe allowing this additional use would necessarily mean every single application in the future should need to be accepted because a precedent had been set, because this decision has been made on the merits of what has transpired here and the history of what has happened on this site for 60 years. Furthermore, if anyone in this room purchased a piece of land whereby an activity had existed for 60 years and then the government came over and removed the rights of that private landowner saying what they believe should be done in the area, and not allow that activity to continue, I'm sure we'd all be somewhat aggrieved. The WAPC may have objectives with respect to the land uses within an industrial area, and they may refuse this scheme amendment. But when a business operator invests significantly into an area to conduct a business that has occurred for over 60 years in one way or another, only to be told that no longer they can do it because of a new planning scheme, it doesn't really sit well with me, and which is why I will not be supporting the officer's recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Kunza. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be supporting the officer's recommendation tonight. I'd like to first begin by acknowledging that Hitting Urban Planning did the right thing and self-reported their non-compliance as part of their scheme amendment application. However, it is the case that motor vehicle sales, boat or caravan sales in this area is now prohibited under LPS 42. Any exception would be in contravention of the scheme, which was put together by the city and supported by the WAPC, specifically for the purposes of promoting general industry businesses and protecting them from commercial encroachment. The DPLH have advised the city that the WAPC would unlikely support the proposed scheme amendment, as retail-orientated businesses would impact the integrity of industrial areas, noting that there are other areas and zones set aside for such businesses. I hope the applicant is able to work with our officers to find another location within the city. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak or ask a question? Thank you. I'll just close debate. Thank you, councillors, and I won't speak too long. Thank you to Councillor Kunza for his opposite point of view. I do take the point just in relation to the precedent. I think that's probably something that concerns me, because I think council needs to have a firm view on its local planning scheme. And we're tested regularly when we sit on JDAPs and on a whole raft of matters. And I guess in some ways, councils are being portrayed as being a little bit inconsistent with planning. And I think we need to hold the line on this and have a really firm view around our planning scheme. And I think whilst this only proposes, as was rightly pointed out, for us to proceed with advertising the proposed amendment, what it does is it opens up, if we show a lack of commitment to the firm view of this council and the previous decision of this council, we open ourselves up not just to the proprietors that own boat, trailer and motor vehicle dealerships. We open ourselves up to any owner in that area that owns a parcel of land and wishes to propose a use outside of what is permitted in that area. And I see that unless we take a firm view, and that firm view is socialised publicly through the decision tonight, we may find ourselves on that slippery slope of being presented often with people with a similar view that perhaps this council has wavered in its commitment to its own planning scheme, and so it would be worth testing them by bringing back a review like this one that's proposed. And I think that's why we should hold the line here and support the officer's recommendation. There are, of course, other avenues that the proponent could go down other than this council decision tonight. If they're aggrieved by the decision, there are avenues open to them. But I still speak strongly in support of refusing to proceed as directed, as requested by the proponent, and to follow the sage advice of the city on this occasion. Thank you. We'll put the item to the vote.
Motion PD 00625 has been carried with 8 in favour, with Councillor Kunza voting against the motion.
Thank you, councillors. The next item is item 13.4 from the Directorate of Mr Warren Bowe, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment, just noting that Deputy Mayor Mark Bain has already declared an impartiality interest in this item, which was read earlier to the meeting. It's IE 016 of 25. The report title is Request for Tender RFT 22/2025 for Nicholson Road and Metcalfe Road intersection upgrade. The officer's recommendation is on two parts. It appears on page 63 of the agenda and is also on screen. I'll ask for a mover, and I understand that the Deputy Mayor would wish to propose an amendment, so it will be the Deputy Mayor will be the mover. Can I have a seconder for the item? Thank you, Councillor Page. Deputy Mayor, did you want to lead us off and also propose the amendment?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes. I'm really pleased for the residents of Ferndale and Linwood to see this project reach the award for tender stage, with construction tentatively scheduled to commence in 3 weeks, should the officer's recommendation be supported tonight. The upgrade has been over 4 years in the planning and making. Local residents have been extremely patient, dealing with long queues, congestion and overflow in local streets while waiting for this moment to arrive. It is my sincere hope that signals at this intersection will enhance safety for all road users, including pedestrians and cyclists. So, as you mentioned, Mr Mayor, I'd like to propose a minor amendment that will lock in, via a council resolution, a traffic assessment of the local road network post the installation of the signals. Rat running is already a problem on Montrose Street, and the idea of more traffic being added...
I'll just have to ask for a seconder for the amendment, and then I'll get you to speak to it. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Secon is the seconder for the This is for the amendment. And councillors, just so you know, we'll put the amendment up on screen so you can see it. I understand it may have been distributed. If not, we will have it up on screen. The Deputy Mayor is simply asking that we monitor after the fact. I'll get you to speak to it. So the mover is Deputy Mayor for the amendment. Seconder is Councillor Secon. Can I ask you just to speak to the amendment then, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As I mentioned, this amendment will lock in via a council resolution a traffic assessment immediately following the installation, sometime in the immediate future following the installation of the signals to quickly identify any unintended consequences. Importantly, the results and recommendations will be passed on to council for its consideration. Montrose Street is already being used as a rat run with buses and vehicles using this local road to avoid Metcalfe Road and Nicholson Road intersection. Vehicles speed down Montrose Street to reconnect with these major roads beyond the congestion. There is no footpath on Montrose Street, with pedestrians, parents with prams and children often walking on the road. The idea of more traffic concerns me and the residents. We need to be able to act promptly if indeed there is an increased traffic overflow on the surrounding road network causing safety issues. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Second, did you wish to add anything to just the amendment, not the motion proper, just the amendment?
Yeah, I just want to say that I support Deputy Mayor Bain's amendment. Definitely a local traffic management intervention post the installment of the traffic signalling is important. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. Director Bowe, will there be a cost attached to this? Is it doable? How long will it take? And mostly around the cost of it. It'll be handled in-house?
Yes, it will be, Mr Mayor. Obviously, we deploy the traffic counters. We have a consultant or a contractor who would do that on our behalf. It's not a significant cost and it would be part of our normal operations regardless.
Good outcome. Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak before I put the amendment to the vote? Thank you. We'll just put the amendment to the vote at this stage. Thank you.
The amendment to IE-01625 has been carried unanimously with all 9 in favour.
Thank you. It now becomes the motion proper, the substantial motion. We had Deputy Mayor move the motion. Councillor Page seconded the substantive motion. The Deputy Mayor has already spoken to it. Councillor Page, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I do want to say that, yes, it has been a long time coming. It was a state election commitment from 2021 election. There were numerous delays throughout this that was outside of the control. Drainage design, traffic signal design, approvals, stage 3 from main roads all had delays. Asbestos was found in existing Telstra communication cables that had to be dealt with. Western Power completed pole replacement and then moved a stay cable, and then designs needed to happen again. So there were quite a few different delays to this, but it's been a bit of a labour of love, and I really want to thank and acknowledge Ryan Gibson, who's no longer with the city, Ashley McKinnon, Warren Bowe, and everyone else involved in this project, because it is something that has been very, very wanted and for a while, and it's really exciting to actually get to the delivery stage and hopefully be finished by the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Anyone else wish to speak to the item before I put it to the vote? Thank you. In the absence of anyone speaking against it, Deputy Mayor, I won't ask you to rebut. We shall put the item to the vote.
Substantive motion is amended, i.e. 01625 has been carried with all 9 in voting in favour.
Thank you. The next item is IE 017 of 25, the report title being Request for Tender RFT 18/2025 for Renovation and Maintenance Services. The officer's recommendation, which is in 2 parts, appears on screen and also on page 72 of tonight's agenda. Can I just have a mover, please, for the tender matter? I'm happy. Councillor Kunza, thank you very much. A seconder? Councillor Parkinson, thank you. Councillor Kunza.
Nothing to add.
Councillor Parkinson?
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak to the item before we put it to the vote? Thanks, councillors. We'll put the item to the vote.
Motion IE-01725 has been carried with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you. The next item is IE 018 of 25, the title being Major Land Transaction Business Plan Portions lot 85, 9001, 9002 for Bannister Road in Canning Vale. The four-part recommendation appears on page 78 and is also on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Councillor Kunza, thank you, and the Deputy Mayor is the seconder. Councillor Kunza.
I need to say that I support the officer recommendation, thank the CEO and their staff for the work on it.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I echo Councillor Kunza's comments and appreciate the amount of time and effort the city has put into getting this business plan ready, and hopefully tonight it'll be approved. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against the item? Councillors, let's put this one to the vote. Thank you.
Motion IE-01825 has been carried by absolute majority with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you, Karen. We move to 13.5. Mr Gary Fisher, the Director of Customer and Community, is the responsible officer. Just noting that Councillors Secon and also Councillor Parkinson have declared an impartiality interest in this item, both of which were read earlier in the evening. It's CO 006 of 25, Willetton Reserve Sports Lighting Upgrade, Club Night Lights Program Forward Planning Application. The officer's recommendation appears on page 113 of the agenda and is on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Councillor Kunza, thank you. And Councillor Tuchek. Councillor Kunza.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. Look, I very much support this recommendation. It was disappointing that the city was unsuccessful with its last grant application from the state government, but hopefully this time we're successful and able to invest into an oval that was one of our first ovals that received lighting many years ago. It's very well utilised and the infrastructure is very much needed. So the City of Canning's behind it, and I hope the state government is too.
Thank you. Councillor Tuchek, it's a big project for the community, isn't it?
Certainly is, Mr Mayor. Looks like I supported it last year, so I'll support it again. Thank you.
It's nice to see a bit of consistency. Well done, Councillor Tuchek, for chiming in. Does anyone else wish to speak on the item or to speak against it? Thank you, Councillor. So let's put it to the vote.
Motion CO-00625 has been carried unanimously with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you. At item 14, motions of which previous notice has been given, there are none. At item 15, urgent business, similarly, there are none. And at item 16, confidential matters, there are none. At item 17, closure, there being no further business, I now declare the ordinary council meeting closed, the time being 6:47 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone very much for their attendance. Thanks, everyone.